Welcome all to this video. What we're going to look at this time is object-oriented programming, or OOP, O-O-P. Okay, and the reason that I'm doing this video again is because areas of problems I get in the classroom, one of the main problems is passing variables between functions and procedures, and pupils getting errors. This is a great way to sort that out. Okay. I'm not going to go into this in depth. I just want you to learn the pattern and the structure of this, and then I'll do a few videos after this on OOP. Okay, but today we're just going to concentrate on laying out a simple OOP program. I'm making a class here, and I'm going to call it house system. So I'm going to make a class, a program on like the school houses, red house, green house, blue house, etc. I've also put here a reference to some of the functions we're going to be using, which are init, and also self, which you'll see a lot. I don't want to go into it too much. I've left that there for you to see it. You can look it up in your own time if you want. You don't really need to know the ins and outs of it. You just need to understand the structure and the procedure we take here. But I've just put those keywords up there for you to see. So I'm going to call my class house system. You can call your class whatever you want. We're just going to deal with one class today. In further video, I'll do more. Okay. So what we're going to do is define init. And again, not going to go into it too much, but we're going to put self in here, and then we're going to put our arguments that we want. I'm going to do, let's put a captain in there for the house. You should know what arguments are now from my last parameter video. Let's put a form in there, and let's put red house. Let's put red house green. Let's put red points. I'm only going to deal with one object today, and I'll show you what that is. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to ignore self, and that just goes in there. We've got 3 arguments there. Now the next thing you do is you create your variables. Now the variables, you just self dot the name of the first one, which is captain, equals captain. That's and self dot form equals form. Self dot points equals red points. Our variable structure, and this is just going to allow, using self, all the functions and procedures we create, or functions here, these variables are going to be able to be passed through them and recognized without any problems. And this is why you need to be, looking at OOP, because it saves you a lot of hassles with passing variables through different functions. Okay, so that's set up. Now I am going to make an object. Okay. Now an object is an instance of the class. This is the class. So this is just something in this class that gets recognized. Okay. Let's call it red house, and then we name or we call our class, which is house system. When there, I need to refer to what these actually are. So let's call the captain Alice Price. Let's call the form GMD, and let's say that red house are currently on 125 points. Notice the data types. Okay, you always have to remember the data types. So string, integer. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. We've got an object here. Let's just write object. Just call it instance of the class. There you go. So there's our object. Now, so straightforward. Init, put in our arguments, make sure our arguments down there match. We got 1, 2, 3. We're ignoring self, okay? But self comes into all the other functions that we write. That's that. Okay, great. Let's just make a simple function. Define. Let's say the red house captain. Okay, there he is, or she is. And in here, it's very important, put self, okay, which allows us to recognize all these. Okay, let's just return, what will we return? Let's say captain for Red House is a concatenation self dot captain. Now this is a string, so that's no problem. We can leave that like that. Should work. Little gap there. Okay, so there's our first one defined. Let's do another one. Let's do what can we say? Find Red House form. Again, let's put self in there. We make our functions and procedures. Let's return this time. Let's do 2 variables this time, just to show you that we can use all our variables in this class. Let's say, let's mention the captain, so we can say self. Like I said, because it's string, we can just do that, no problem. Give myself a gap is a form gap, and then self.form. Okay, so there's 2 functions. We're just going to return the name of the captain and the name and what form the captain's in. Okay, now nothing will happen if I run that because I haven't actually told this system here to actually run anything. So that's the next thing we need to do. So what we're going to do is print. And what do we want to print? Well, the object, which is Red House. Okay, so and we've only got one object here at the moment. Red House dot and then what function? So Red House captain. So let's put Red House captain. There he is. Okay. Now, if I run that, only this one will come up. Let's have a look. There you go. And look, it's taken the argument here, captain, and our argument, Alice Price, and it's passed that into that and recognized it. Okay. Okay, so same thing, print object, and then the name of the function, which is Red House form, I think. That. There you go. Alice Price is in form GMD. Okay, so you should see it's a very simple structure here. You've got your class, you've created your arguments and your variables here. Then you create an object. And like I said, this video, I'm only going to deal with one object. Future videos, I'll do different classes and different objects. And there's many, many ways you can do it. So it's just how you want to set your programs up. And then finally, we create our functions. And notice that there's no problem with any of the variables. They're being passed through because of this self. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Let's do one more, which is going to deal with integers rather than strings. What can we say? So let's say we're keeping track of competitions for the forms of the houses. Let's say allocate points. Put ourselves in there. So they have competitions, as you know. So comp equals, let's say, input. Into name or competition. Okay, and what else can we do? So let's take points. So allocate points to it. Now, points are going to be integers. So we put our integer here. So enter points to allocate will do. Okay, and because I want to print out. I'm going to turn these points into a string because, as we know at the moment, they're an integer. And you've seen me do this in previous videos. So string points equals, and let's string the points. Okie doke, I need another. Okay, so now this variable here is now a string here. Okay. All right, so at the moment we're on 125 points. So let's say this ran. I need to update these points here, which is red points. So what I could do is say self dot red points equals self dot red points plus what I'm doing here each time an entry is put in here. It's just updating our red points argument here by red points equals itself plus what we put in. That's just how we do it in Python. Okay, and that's straightforward, I think. So let's print before and after. So what I could do now, I'm not going to string this. So if I just say, let's say, Red House have a total of, and I'm not going to concatenate. I'm just going to say self dot red points. Okay, so that's going to print that. Now, what I want to do then is actually show how I've updated. So if I say total equals, let's just say Red House oh no, let's say scored and then the string points. So that's basically what we inputted. And let's say points in, and we could use whatever we're going to put in as the competition. It is comp, isn't it? Yeah, plus comp. And then we could say something like that, and return that total. Okay, so let's have a check of that for bugs or errors. But I think what I want to do is, so I'm updating the points there. I'm printing how many points they have, which shouldn't give me the updated points until here, because that's the points. So let's run that. So what didn't I do? I didn't call it. So print object is Red House, and the name of the function is allocate points. Try that. Okay, so here we go. So enter the name of the competition. So let's put, say, volleyball in. Enter points to allocate, let's say 250 points. So now Red House have a total of 375, so that updated the 250, that's correct. And on that day, Red House scored 250 points in volleyball. There you go, that's fine. Now the only thing I need to do is just give myself a gap there. Let's run that again, send an indication. Volleyball. End points, let's put 270 points, and there you go. That's been, so our parameter here, our argument is being updated, so it's 395, and it says that Red House scored that many. So if you're keeping track of something, that's just a good way of doing it, putting the date there. It's actually okay, and there's not much more I want to do in this video, so let's just take a quick look at what I did. I've put that there as a reference for you, what init and self is, but really, you know, you just need to focus on the structure of this really. And what we did was created our class, assigned our arguments and made our variables, okay? And then we just created an object here. That can be whatever you want. This can't. This has to be the name of the class, of course. Okay, and then put in your arguments, making sure that you've got the right amount of arguments in there. So if I put an extra argument here and run this, I'll get an error, and it'll tell me in the error. There you go. There's 4 arguments instead of 3. Okay, so that's an error you get frequently as well. So we made our object, and then we just started creating our functions. And you notice that when I created these functions, they're all different functions. I didn't get any problems with the variables in the different functions. Okay, and that's been taken care of by self. So OOP is a really good way of dealing with these errors that I see frequently in the classroom, which is you know, not being able to pass variables through functions. I'm going to leave it there, And the next video, I will show you how to create different classes and just use different objects. And there's many ways you can do that. You can use different objects in the same class. You can have different classes and then have one single object for that. It's how you feel comfortable doing it. And I'll see you in the next video.